Hey everybody, welcome back to D&J's Epic Quest. My name is Justin and this is
This is Derek. This is it's a little different feeling right now because we still have our cameras on and we're staring at each other's faces.
uh mm, so pretty. So pretty.
Uh, your standards are low.
I've been hearing this my whole life. Ah, that's all right. That's all right. No big dirt, no big worries. I don't know how I was gonna say her name there. It's cool. So we did a thing, didn't we, Derek?
We did do a thing. It's
You go ahead and explain away, please.
yeah, guys, we did it. We kind of I guess decided it was time to set up a Patreon account. We're still going to do things regardless, one way or another. So it's certainly not like an obligation to participate in that, but I think you and I both have the same feeling that we are looking at that to just improve things and I think help put some money back into the show and just make things better overall. What day did we do that? Sunday? Monday? I don't even remember.
Yeah, it was yeah, it was Sunday. It was Sunday afternoon we did that.
So even that day, we I after we set it up, I threw it out on Twitter, and one of our followers did subscribe to us. If you want to give him a shout out there, Justin.
Absolutely. I want to give a huge shout out to Yan Godfrey. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. From the bottom of our hearts, thank you.
Yeah, it really does make us feel good, and I think it's just some reaffirmation that we're making good stuff. Um, we're definitely still learning and figuring things out. So, I mean, things might tweak a little bit here and there as far as it goes. We just got to get things dialed in, I guess. But I think for
Right.
a starting spot, we're in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, I mean it's a another platform that we'll have to manage a little bit, and that's totally fine. It's a blank canvas at this point, so please, I guess, be patient with us while we get all of our content uploaded and viewable for patrons and future patrons. So thank you. Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I guess I don't think I've really got anything else to say about it. But Jan, especially lately, if I've loved seeing your reactions to after you listen to the episodes and stuff. It's a lot of fun, so I appreciate those. So I hope you keep doing that.
Yes, yes, please keep it up. We really enjoy interacting with all of you readers out there and just enjoying what is the Malazan Books of the Fallen, no matter what level you're at. If you're like us, where we're just going through it the first time and we have no idea what's happening. And my God, dude, I'm up to I think episode 6 of Gardens of the Moon from us, and I just cannot stop shaking my head as to how many times I'm like, dude, you're wrong. You're wrong. That was wrong. But in the moment, it's kind of it's I feel like it's giving it a genuine reaction because you only have the information you have. But then looking back, it's bewildering as to how wrong we were on so many things.
It's entertaining for sure, and so hopefully, I hope that's one of the things people get out of it. Whether they're like, "Oh God, what a bunch of fucking idiots!" Like, how could you possibly think that? Or they're like, "Oh man, they're so stupid, it's funny." Yeah, but
Right. Yeah, exactly. And one of the things that sticks out just as you know, you remember how in the beginning chapters of Jerujistan, how Tallow was being followed and killed, uh, and we thought it was Apsalar, Cotillion, and Amanus that was doing it. It was the Tistiande. It was Sarat
oh
and
yeah,
her
yeah, yeah.
Tistiande assassins. But I don't think we ever went back and like mentioned that while we were going through Gardens of the Moon. Like, I don't think it dawned on us that that was actually the beginning of Anomander Rake trying to lure out the Assassin's Guild.
Yeah,
You know,
no, I don't think it did, but that's
So,
okay.
yeah, yeah.
All in all,
But sorry.
oh, and I think we're probably both going the same way. I think it's definitely another way for us to stay engaged. Like you had said when we were talking before recording, but just another way to keep us accountable, and I think it's definitely gonna force us to up our game and keep things number one, I think fun, which through 30 odd episodes, whatever we're up to, it's still been fun every time, and every week we talk, it's felt like forever, like since we talked last. So it's
It does feel like forever. So yeah, yeah,
it'll be good, and yeah, just I, personally, I feel like it'll probably help us hold a little higher standard. Not that we were trying to throw a shit product out there, but just
right.
I mean, if somebody's going to be willing to give us some money, we gotta be on top of our game, and definitely make it worth it.
Yeah, very true. And I guess the money isn't anything that is motivating for
No,
us. It's just we want to do what we want to do and keep hopefully entertaining and getting a million things wrong and out in left field. And yeah, we're glad you're here for the ride, but we could definitely use some different tech. So,
that's true. That's true.
but cool, man. How about we say we get into chapter 5, which is the last chapter in the subbook Raraku.
Yeah, maybe before we do that quick, I guess just another quick announcement. So we are recording. It is December 1st. It's we've been doing this now. Just when we start this, like March 3rd. So just about.
March 3rd. Yep, that was our first episode.
So we're just about. We're really just about to give birth now. So.
Mm-hmm.
um,
Gross, Derek.
we're at however many weeks. That's like 9 months. So yeah, we've completed a pregnancy. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but next week, sometime we will be doing a side quest episode. So we'll put off the beginning of the second book of Deadhouse Gates. Though Justin and I will probably read it between now and then, but we'll be recording our first episode on Vasquez. I think what we've kind of figured here, we're going to do 2 episodes on the book, and we will have a guest next week, Christian, and I hope I don't butcher his last name. Matska, I believe, is how it's pronounced. But he is one of the co-hosts on A Perfect Organism. If you like the Alien at all and you haven't checked out their podcast, definitely do, because it's so, and they've got over 200 episodes. And I don't remember how many they had when I discovered them, but I haven't listened to, and it's because they're on one of the Alien books that I have not read yet. And Christian, I love listening to him talk, so it'll be exciting to have him talking to us. So that'll be coming next week, and then the week after that will be 10 very big books. So a lot going on in the next couple weeks.
Yes, definitely a lot going on. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. It's crazy how much more this has like become a passion and a hobby for me.
Yeah, I agree. And I keep thinking about, I don't know if we could have been a more perfect pair for things. I mean, with you doing the things that you do for us, and then the things that I I do as well, as we complement each other very well.
Yes, I would agree. I would agree
I,
100%.
so I don't think I could have predicted that going into it, and it's just been working really good. So I still feel
Hmm.
like you do the lion's share of the work, and I feel bad about that. But
We wouldn't have anything to show for this work if there wasn't a voice. You were the voice. I'm the background dude.
you're
I
you're
have social
you're
anxiety.
you are just as much a voice of this as I am. I couldn't talk about this by myself, so
Well, you could.
nobody would ever hear it because I wouldn't know what the fuck I was doing.
It's like masturbating by yourself.
Sometimes you got to switch hands, I guess.
Exactly. Rosie Palmer and her five sisters.
Okay.
All right,
Well,
cool. Now that we've got our gross out of the way.
all right. Since you left your book at school, I'll throw you under the school bus there.
There you go.
I'll take the epigraph here. Bocarola seem to have originated in the wastes of Raraku. Before long, these social creatures spread outward and were soon seen throughout 7 cities. As a fascist rat control in settlements, the Bocarola were not only tolerated, but often encouraged. It was not long before a lively trade in domesticated breeds became a major export. The usage and demonic investment of this species among mages and alchemists is a matter for discussion within treatises more specific than this one. Baruch's 321st treatise offers a succinct, I don't know how the fuck to say that word, analyst for interested scholars.
Who
I know
wrote
you
that?
said who wrote that? Stephen Erickson wrote that.
No, the epigraph.
Oh,
Who wrote yeah, he wrote who wrote the epigraph, you goob.
Imogen Talabant.
I could have swore Baruch showed up in there.
If you can see on my little camera, it is not Baruch. It is.
But Baruch is at the end of the epigraph, right?
Oh yeah, I said that. He wrote a treatise, which I assume is like a thesis or a paper or something like that. It's
Gotcha.
321st.
So you don't find it a little suspicious that they specifically named Baruch
I mean, they just referenced one of his, I guess.
because he knows, because he has, I've mastered the Boak Rala pet, which Mammoth, if you remember your theory, there's something there.
Okay.
Okay, fine, cool.
Dude, I just need you to explain it. That's all.
So remember our theory about Moby? He's Boak Rala. He was a pet to Mammoth.
Yes, I think Mammoth transferred himself into Moby.
And he probably got that from Baruch because Baruch is the master, because they're referencing his treatise. Because if you want to know more about that pet, mage relationship, Baruch is going to know all about it. And being that Mammoth is not pretty much, but was in the same cadre or cabal, cabal.
Get your shit together, Justin.
The same cabal. I can only imagine that he used his knowledge that Baruch shared with him.
That makes sense.
So what happens after that? I guess we can only do what?
Read and find out.
There it is. There it is.
I wonder if people have made like a drinking game out of us saying that. Like every time Derek and Justin say read and find out, take a shot. Shotgun a beer.
We could make it a game. Every time Derek says it, you have to take 2 drinks.
I don't need.
And every time Justin says it, you take 1 drink because I don't say it as frequently.
Oh, well, that's you dig a lot deeper than I do.
Okay, fine. 2 drinks for every crazy Justin speculation. There, see, drinking game confirmed.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna have to come up with crazier ideas than you.
I don't know, man.
That's gonna be my goal now.
Okay, sounds good. Bring it on.
Well, I don't know. I might kind of have one for this. I know you and I had talked previously, and we seem to have disagreed a little bit on parts of this chapter again. So
I guess I don't remember, but cool. I can't wait.
Maybe you've changed your mind. Now I'm gonna have to convince you to go back to your original way of thinking.
Do it. That'll provide some good entertainment.
All right. A reverse psychology, you.
It works surprisingly well.
All right. I'll shut up.
Yeah, no worries. Are we ready for the first section here?
Yeah, take it away.
With some exceptions, the journey to Gidanisban had been uneventful for the 3 travelers. Fiddler knew of the risks that lay ahead. He had anticipated a lull in their approach to the city, What Fiddler was not expecting was a renegade army encamped outside the city's walls. The three unsuspecting travelers rode into the camp's perimeter lines. Fiddler and the rest would have to trust their disguises and ride through. Fiddler was anything but confident, though. Three guards approached from the barricade to inform the travelers that the city was closed, punctuating his words by spitting between the horse's feet. Before Fiddler could even react, the horse lunged and bit the man in the face. Blood gushed, and the guardsman dropped to the ground like a sack of potatoes. Fiddler snagged the horse's ears and reined him in as best he could. Fiddler starts a stream of growl curses at the two remaining guards. In the effort to keep the guardsmen unbalanced with curses, a troop of Arak horse warriors approached hastily. A bidding war ensued with the Arak bidding for Fiddler's Grawl horse, Grail. Fiddler denounces them by claiming that none of them are fit to smell the horse's farts. Grinning from ear to ear, Fiddler tosses a beer-filled bladder to the nearest Arak. Fiddler projects that if the Arak let them stay in their camp, and for a sliver, they can feel the heat of the horse with their palms. With grins, the Araks passed the beer around, and by doing so, Fiddler had granted them status as equals. The gesture stripped away the insult that he had just flung their way. Biting back his own nausea, he spares a glance back at Absalar and Crocus and winks. The guards had recovered, and before they could move in, they were blocked by the tribesmen as they drove their mounts to intercede. The Arak yelled ride with them, and the Araks wheeled out. Fiddler spurs his horse into pursuit, sighing when he hears the newlyweds following suit. It was a race to the Arak camp. The Grail horse, true to its nature, seemed determined to burst every muscle to win. The Arak teepees lined a nearby hill, and women and children came out to watch the race. The Grail horse, along with Fiddler, were the first to crest the hilltop. The camp was familiar to him. The dozen or so dogs that were snapping at his gelding could potentially be a problem, as they might give their disguise away. Fiddler hoped that they were barking because they were strangers. The Arak troop arrived moments later, laughing and a hootin' and a hollerin', dismounting their horses. Last to arrive was Crocus and Absalar. Dismounting from his horse, still pretending to be Grail, he shouts that the city had been closed and this must be another Mesla folly. The Arak that had spoken before responds that it's not a Mesla and that Gidanisban has been liberated. A cleansing. Mesla merchants and nobles infest the city. They were arrested and will be executed tomorrow. For tonight, they celebrate. Fiddler squatted, as Grail did, and asked if the whirlwind had truly been raised by Shaik. Was war truly begun? The Arak replied, "Soon. We are cursed with impatience." He then left and went off to assist in preparations for the night's festivities. Crocus and Absalar then approached. Crocus states that the horse biting the man was a sight he'd never forget, and questions if the poor man will live. Fid responds that only if the man chooses to. Looking around and taking in her surroundings, Absalar wonders if they'll be camping here tonight, because they can't fool the Arak much longer. Absalar makes the point that her accent is Malazan, and Crocus doesn't even speak the language. Frowning, the sapper explains that they really have one option, and that is to ride into Gidanisban to witness the whirlwind's vengeance. Another celebration of what's to come? Demanded Crocus. Fiddler solely explains that the celebration in the city would be the flaying alive of hundreds of Malazans, and if they show eagerness to witness the event, the Arak may not be offended by them leaving early. Absalar blurts in and just says, "Try it," as Arak tribesmen approached. Fiddler, while cursing, stops himself from saluting Sari and questions if she was giving him orders. Blinking as if confused, Absalar explains to the sapper, she's been giving orders since Fiddler was clutching the hem of his mother's dress. Absalar explains that she knows the one who had possessed her, and it's his instincts that are ringing like steel in her head. Fiddler is unable to retort as the Arak arrives. They explain that there is a Grail clan on the way, and they intend to join the apocalypse. Fiddler shakes his head and explains that it cannot be, as he is an outcast. And more importantly, these newlyweds insist on seeing the executions to further bless their binding. Apsalar steps forward and bows. She says that they really do not wish to offend. The Arak faces around them began to darken, and it really didn't look well. Outcast, perhaps we should hold you for your kin's vengeance, and in exchange they would leave us with your horse. Apsalar stamps the ground with rage and begins to explain that she is with child, and if they deny her, then they will be cursed. As the Arak could say, all the Arak could say was that the newly wedded couple should hire them, as the Grail is not fit to serve them. Apsalar trembles and prepares to lift her veil, announcing her intention to deliver a curse. The Arak flinched. Apsalar screams that they only covered the horse, and this was nothing more than greed, and now she shall curse them all. Like a bunch of bitches, the Arak ask for forgiveness and allow them to ride on down into the city. The three mount up on their horses. As they do, the Arak who had spoken to the sapper before tells him to stay the night and ride hard in the morning, as Fiddler's kin would pursue him. Fiddler tells the Arak to drink his beer tonight, and they reply that they will, before the Grail arrive. I really liked I like the visual that we we get with this scene. I guess I could see it in my head. I could just see everything playing out. You know, they're on a road. They're not really expecting that the city is closed, right? And then they have some type of entanglement with some soldiers there, and then the soldiers' companions are like, "Fuck these guys! Like, I'm gonna go hang out with these guys. They got a cool horse," you know. Uh, yeah, I just thought it was cool. I just thought I could see everything happening.
I really liked the horse eating the guy's fucking face. And they're like,
Hmm.
"Oh, is he gonna live?" Like, if he wants to, he will. I don't know if that's really how it works.
Well, I think it's funny that the horse is almost being personified. I mean, it is a Grail horse. You know, Fiddler did buy it from uh, a Grail in the cities. In the city. I forget which one. I think it was Erliton is I think what was mentioned. So, there's definitely traits of the Grail tribe, right? Kind of coming out in here. And it's just funny how the horse gets offended by the spitting of, the guard, and
Yeah.
well, fuck around and find out, right?
Oh, he found out and had a very bad time about it.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Um, I think it was funny that at the very beginning of the section they were talking about, with some exceptions, the journey to Janisban had been kind of uneventful. So basically it was a boring ride outside of there was a sandstorm, which they had to wait out. And then there was a news about a massacre in Ladro Keep, thanks to the Red Blades, and we read that last chapter. But I like how we threw this in here as kind of like a little tie-in to the previous chapter. He
Yeah,
just kind of made everything flow.
it did. I think. I mean, if I was a traveler, though, I would probably want a boring trip.
Hmm.
If my horse eating a guy's face was as exciting as it got, that would probably be a good sign. I think.
Yeah, it was well written.
Yeah.
Um, I guess I what I liked was the way when I guess you called them the three amigos, so I might as well just say that. The three amigos, when they first, get before they have the interaction with the horse and the guy's face. I just like I said, I enjoyed the visual there, and it made me feel a little bit claustrophobic with how everything was described. Like there was hills with troops, and then everybody was like hanging out in like what I imagined would be like the ditch or the side of the road. So just kind of like this very okay, yeah, I definitely wasn't expecting all of this. Like what's gonna happen, the main army straddling the road, but many of them kind of hidden behind the hills. and then a command of footmen just oversaw the questioning, right? And then the Arak warriors to chase down those that would flee. So I guess more or less what I'm saying is I can understand why Fiddler doesn't feel anything but anything but confident. So yeah,
Yeah, I don't know that I could say anything better than that.
cool, cool. What do you think about the none of them are fit to smell horse farts? I know you got a
I,
comment for this one.
I laughed reading that. Even I was kind of taken aback when I read that. I was like, "What?" But yeah,
Yeah,
it just kind of catches you off guard.
right. It's I really enjoy the small bits of humor amongst the raging violence and despair that's looming throughout this book. You know, uh, it's like a little ray of sunshine on a cloudy day. So it's nice to actually giggle, and then in the next section, feel like, all right, yeah, no. No, 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 yeah, okay. So in one section, you're like, "Oh my god, that's so fucked up. He just bit his fucking face off," and then you know, next paragraph, you're laughing your ass off. So it's just
Yeah,
cool how you kind of go from those two extremes.
it had like a Monty Python feel to me. Like, what is it? Like your mother was a hamster and your father smelled of elderberries, or whatever the quote was. Like that's almost like that was kind of like the sense I got out of that. Like you can't even smell my horse's farts. Like it felt
It's
the same to me.
it's been so long since I've watched that movie,
Oh
those
my god, me
movies.
too. That's the only one I've ever seen, I think. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, I guess my next point is I don't know if you caught this, but Fiddler almost kind of has a kind of a familiar feeling as he steps into the Arak camp. And I thought it was a cool little tidbit because it begins. I feel like a little bit of like Fiddler's history is kind of starting to be like shown, and apparently it's familiar to or the camp was familiar to Fiddler because he had traveled with Wiccan scouts over these lands during the Emperor Kalinved's reign, and it's kind of been called to my attention that Fiddler is not from the Seven Cities. I know that we were thinking that, but he sure is damn familiar with parts of it. So I think that's where I kind of mix things up uh, as far as that statement goes. But yeah,
Yeah, I guess I didn't really remember that either. It's we'd probably have to write things down, and have like a sheet.
yeah.
This person's from here, but I feel like it'd be hard to reference that all the time too. So it's
Oh, well,
just
right. Yeah. Because eventually you're just going to have a bunch of pages that you're rifling through to
and
try to
then
figure it out. Yeah.
what's the point then?
There is
But
no
yeah,
point.
it's it he definitely seems familiar with it. So
Um, I want to know, like, I'm really starting to like Fiddler as a character, and you don't really get the sense from Gardens of the Moon because he's such a side character in that book. But now that he's kind of taken on a little bit of a bigger role, so to speak, I'm really starting to enjoy, I guess, his talents. Like, I feel like I want to know how Fiddler is so street smart, and by all means, I think he's somewhat book smart too. But he seems to understand a lot about so many, and it just really makes me like him, like his character a little bit more with the whole he's like when he's explaining to Crocus about the only way out would be to eventually witness the flaying of hundreds of Malazans. Like, how does he know that? You know what I mean? Like, he's definitely seen some shit and he knows some things, but if it was anybody else, I don't think that they would have came up with that, you know?
yeah, I guess maybe not in the same way that he does, or maybe as quickly as he does. But yeah, he's like you said, he's seen probably a lot of shit. So I mean, I get the sense he's been like a soldier, like basically his entire adult life, right? And
Yeah.
maybe even before, I don't know. But he's seen, well, what did they say in Gardens of the Moon? How many captains had they had in, they had like 3 and 4 years or something like that, or 4 and 3 years.
Oh, right.
I don't remember what it was, but he probably learns to read people pretty quick. And
Yeah.
I guess, well, him and like Kalam are like best buddies, right?
I feel like that is the sense that I'm getting, but I
Yeah,
guess we could be
me
wrong about
too.
that too.
And I mean, and Klom's from Seven Cities, so he's probably filled him in on some stuff too, I would guess.
Right. Right. Yeah. It's just kind of cool how there's a lot of these things on the surface, but they are really like implanted into we don't even know. But I
We
just
just
think
get
that
to
that's
make
cool.
stuff up what we think.
Right. Yeah. And that's the beautiful part about it. But
Right.
swing and a miss. Oh God. It's all good. That's all good. I guess the only other thought that I have for this particular section is I want to know how lifting the veil of a newly wedded wife would be seen as a curse. I'm just really intrigued by what I'm assuming is some type of lore or tradition. I'm really hoping for more, but with something so small, I doubt I'd get that. But it was just a really cool thing to put in here and playing and manipulating the beliefs of others to essentially like get away. And yeah, it just kind of is highlighting Apsalar and her newish found skills just happen to save their skins. So
This thought just kind of came to me, but I wonder if it's almost like a reverse Aiel effect. You know, they veil themselves when they're ready to kill, and if she's going to lift hers, maybe it's a manner of like speaking. So if she's got the veil up or covering her face, whatever she's saying, I guess, is like safe. But if she lifts the veil up, the gloves are coming off, and anything's going to go. I,
yeah,
I don't
I
know.
could see that.
Something
No, that
something
makes sense.
I'm trying to explain it how I'm thinking it, but I don't know that I'm getting the right words. But that's
You
kind of
had me at
the
reverse
gist of it.
IEL. I knew what you meant there. I knew what you were going for.
All right, good.
I've read the books almost a year ago now. Oh, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. And here we are, a book in +1.
Right. Yeah. Um, Go ahead and read your section here.
We got a big section here.
Big one. Grab your popcorn, everybody.
Maybe you're one colonel.
All right.
The three musketeers neared the north gate of Gdanispan. Absalar asked if they were in trouble. Fiddler asked if that was how she felt. She didn't answer verbally, only with her face. Fiddler acknowledged Absalar and said he had made an error with his outcast story, and her threat of a curse was likely enough. Crocus asked if they were going to really watch these people get murdered. Fiddler said no, they were getting the hell out, and said if Absalar threw another temper tantrum, the people in the city would carry them out on beds made of gold. Internally, Fiddler reminded himself not to fall in love with Absalar because it would jeopardize Crocus's life, and if something happened, he'd likely call it accidental fate.
Oh, Fiddler, you dirty bitch.
Yeah, I mean, she's just a kid, like creepy grandpa vibes a little bit, but
I mean, a year has passed since the events of Gardens of the Moon. So she's got to be like 18, 19 at this point.
okay, so he's 52 instead of 51.
Right, exactly.
Like that bridge goes both ways, buddy.
Hey, my dad always taught me there's something that older women can show you that the generation I'm with can't.
I don't know if that works in this situation, but
Probably not. No. No.
I,
Yeah, yeah. All I have is I liked your Three Musketeers here, and I stole your glory.
no, that's all right. Wasn't there actually four of them in the Three Musketeers, though?
I feel like the movie, God, I watched it when I was like 12. I don't remember.
I
I
guess they
think,
have
yeah,
Kalam, but he went off on his own way.
that's true. That's
So
true. But now they're the Three Musketeers. Before they were nothing. They were just the four.
it's 3.5 men.
Apsar was once a man. Yeah.
Ah, I didn't even think of that. I was just.
Didn't.
I do think it was interesting, like that he's like kind of falling for her, and he's got to be like, "No, I can't do it because I can't do that to Crocus." But if I did and he were to die, I guess I could say, it was an accident.
Right, right. A fate, accidental fate. Yep. Yeah. I don't know if I have much to comment on here, to be quite honest.
Yeah, the only other thing is just, I guess that came to my mind was, I guess Absalom thought that they were going to actually watch these people get killed, which would be pretty terrible. But he's like, no, we're going to go, which is probably the better move because why would you want to get caught up in that if you don't need to?
Well, right, and there's a Grail clan coming to the
Yeah.
Arak Hills, so but I mean, I guess my question is like, why can't they just keep their mouth shut? Why do they have to say anything at all about Fiddler and the horse?
He must
You
must
know,
stick out. I mean, it must be different than everything else. It must be
but
easily recognizable that it doesn't belong.
maybe, but I mean, the Grail clan isn't even there yet. So why would the Arak? Why would they just throw them under the bus like that? I feel like it's one of those things where we don't really know anything about it, but I'm assuming it's like a common courtesy type of thing.
Well, we know they want
Hey,
his
there was a dude
horse.
imitating your clan, right? And they're greedy motherfuckers. They really want that horse. Sniff
That's
its farts a
apparently
little bit.
that's apparently all the motivation they need.
I suppose then, yeah, I guess that answers my question. You bring up a very good point.
I'm not trying to shit on your parade or anything. I don't think that I feel like it's one of the few things that just is, as advertised, which I don't think we get a lot of.
That's fair. Yeah. No, I agree with you.
But yeah, I mean, there could be more there. I don't know. Something
Mm,
more nefarious than what I'm thinking.
right. Yeah.
I try
Cool.
to keep it simple.
I like it. I'm enjoying it.
Well, you ready to keep going here?
I am. I am definitely. Next section here. Under the arched north gate were stained cobbles from spilt blood, and wooden toys lay broken and crushed on either side of the road. From somewhere close came the screams of children dying. We cannot do this, said Crocus, the color gone from his face. They all clumped together as they rode. Looters and armed men would show now and then, and in the haze of smoke everywhere, the city seemed strangely open. They rode amidst scorched rubble and furniture, dead bodies in twisted postures. The children's screams of dying had stopped, but distant screams rose eerily from the heart of Gijanisban. They were startled by a naked and bruised figure darting in front of their path. A young girl ran as if oblivious to them and climbed under a broken cart. 6 armed men approached from a side street, blackened blood staining their cloaks. One of them asks the Grail if he saw the girl because they were not done. Even as the question was being asked, another of the 6 spotted the girl's feet from underneath the cart and gestured to it. Fid asks if she was Mesla. The group leader shrugs and says well enough, and that the Grawl shouldn't worry as they'll share. The group of six splits apart to walk around Fiddler, Crocus, and Apsalar. The sapper casually leans forward to the closest person and drives a knife into the base of his skull. The gelding pivoted underneath Fid with both rear hooves, kicked the man behind, shattering his chest and sending him flying to the ground. The sapper was able to regain control of the Grail gelding. They bolted towards the leader of the 6, riding him down. From under the horse came the snapping of bone and the crushing sound of a skull. Twisting in his saddle, Fid was able to see the remaining 3 men. 2 of them were writhing in pain, near to Apslar, who was calmly sitting in her saddle, knife in each hand. Crocus had dismounted and was leaning over a body, pulling out a blood-drenched throwing knife from the dude's throat. They all turned to see the young girl bolt down an alleyway, eventually being lost to the shadows. The sound of horsemen now approached from the north gate. Fiddler snaps and tells them to get going and to ride south through the gate. The sapper watched as they galloped on. He dismounts and approached the 2 men that Apslar had downed. He breathed, ah. As he came close, he saw their lashed open crotches. That's the last he knows. The troop of horsemen arrive, and the commander begins to speak. Fiddler was able to get his word in first, though. Fid questions if any man's daughter is safe in the seven cursed city. The girl was no Mesla. The commander asks Fid if these men were rapists. Fid goes on to explain that a Mesla slut gets what she deserves, but the young girl was no Mesla. The commander asks if he killed all of them, and then, if he did, who were the two he was with a moment ago? Fiddler calmly explains that he did indeed kill all of them, and that the two he was with were pilgrims he was sworn to protect. The commander, leaning on a saddle horn, tells Fid to rejoin his pilgrims. Fid growls and then remounts. He asks a question of the commander who rules Gijanisban. The commander simply says no one, and that the army of the apocalypse holds 2 districts. But they shall have others tomorrow. Fid pulls his horse around and puts it in a canter. He rode hard in pursuit, noting that the gelding responded to his every touch. I just the way the scene was set for the section was just absolutely beautiful, like chef's kiss. You kind of just get a sense of like what you're walking into, and you at least get the feeling that like something like it's just this ominous feeling, like something terrible is going to happen. Is just what I got from the setup of that section.
Yeah, it really sounds like just a hellscape. I mean, kids dead, dying, not even just kids, but just people all over. It sounds like a battlefield for sure. And then you get this poor young kid running out of wherever for her life before she gets gang raped. I mean,
Right.
it's a lot of like hard things to read here, but it's at the same time, it's probably, I mean, that's reality. Like that stuff has happened, is happening, and unfortunately will continue to happen in our real world.
Right.
So it's, I don't know what else to say beyond that. It's not something I take like any like joy in reading, like that type of thing, but I do like, these guys, even though they're just fictional characters, they got what they deserved, and that makes me
Oh,
happy.
absolutely.
Feels good,
Yeah,
especially.
yeah.
I mean, you've got 2 young daughters. I mean, you would without hesitation if somebody tried to pull some shit like that, like you'd go on a murdering spree. Like I would
Yep.
too. Like it's just you wouldn't even think about it. You would just do it.
I'm not going to jail for no reason.
Right. That'll be a reason. Yeah.
Hmm. So yeah, no, I absolutely, and justice was served very swiftly, and good riddance. Like fuck those fuckers. So,
Yep.
but I think I'm more impressed with Apsalar because this is definitely the sorry that we were used to leading up to, all of the horror stories that you hear in Gardens of the Moon. How she was going to town on people's junks, and then Kalam showed up, and they were actually like thanking him for sparing them some mercy.
It is interesting seeing that side like come out of her when she's not possessed. The stuff that remains. I wonder how far that's gonna go. Are we just gonna keep getting evolutions of that?
Well, right. And I mean, I guess we could probably talk about it in the next section because it's a little bit more prevalent there. But yeah, yeah. I have more to say about Apsalar.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, it was I mean, I wouldn't I mean it was a shorter section. It definitely wasn't anywhere near as long as the opening to the chapter, but a lot happens, it's violent, it's dark, it's brutal. Um Justice is served, and there really isn't anything really to pick apart as far as information in here. That we won't talk about in later sections, but yeah, it was a nice little transition piece on their journey through the city.
Definitely. Well, shall we continue our journey through the town of Gdanispan here?
Let's do it.
All right. Gdanispan Central Square was Murder Town. Fid caught up with the kids as they tiptoed through the hellish remnants. They both turned as they heard someone approach from behind. Fiddler was relieved when they recognized him. It was such a horrific scene that even the Grawl horse seemed to hesitate some. There were several hundred bodies, or at least what remained of them, men, women, and children. Fiddler said beyond the square, is the wild, wild west. Anything goes. Crocus nervously asked if these were Malazans. Fiddler said they were. Crocus followed up by asking if the Malazans did the same to the locals during the conquest. Answering with a question, Fiddler asked if he was wondering if this was revenge. Absalar was suddenly very irritated and said the Emperor fought armies, not civilians. Fiddler spoke up and said, except at Erin, where the Talan Imas rose. Absalar spat back that this was not Kellanved's order, but the commander of the Claw who decided on a new name. Lacine. Fiddler said, finishing her sentence. He said that was interesting because he had never heard that theory before, and there were not any written orders to support it, or at least not any that survived. Fiddler continues and says Absalar was only a child when this happened. She is all too aware of this, but yet she has the memories. She was sent to see the devastation and try to discern what took place. She even agreed with Surly. She even argued, not agreed. She argued with Surly. Argued with her alone in a room. Crocus said they weren't her memories, they were the ropes, the patron god of assassins. Jumping in, Absalar said they were Dancer's memories. Fiddler instantly knew this was true upon hearing it. They knew the assassinations took place by Lacine and her clawmasters, but no one knew what happened to the bodies. Crocus deduced that Dancer lived and ascended, becoming a patron god in the Warren of Shadows. Fiddler continued on. He recalled the deck of dragons and the new house that had appeared shortly after, Shadow, and two new ascendants, Cotillion and Shadowthrone. Crocus went bug-eyed on the realization that Kellanved is Shadowthrone, and that neither was actually assassinated but escaped by ascending. Fiddler said they went into the Shadow Realm to plot their revenge, which led Cotillion to possess a young fisher girl in the hopes to get to Lacine, though it failed. He looked at Absalar, and she said it was all true. Fiddler wanted to know why he didn't, then, reveal himself to Whiskey Jack, Kalam, or Dujek. They all knew him and called him friends. Absalar stopped him, saying that she could lie and say it was to protect them. Was he sure he really wanted to know the real reason? Fiddler insisted on knowing. Absalar told him that Dancer only trusted two men, Kellanved and Dasim Ultor, and Dasim is dead. She is sorry if he is offended by the truth. She has another thought that she might suggest. Not even Shadowthrone, Emperor Kellanved, or maybe Ascendant Kellanved, now Shadowthrone. That is a whole different story. Fiddler says he was a fool, and Absalar smiled. Crocus had enough talk and wanted to get the hell out of the city. Holy shit, dude. That was a lot.
Yeah, it's my favorite part of this chapter. And it's just, I wasn't expecting this so soon. You know, like I was not ready for something like this. Like, especially Kellanved and Dancer. Like I was not ready or expecting these answers. You know, granted, it just more shit just keeps punching me in the face with this reveal, but I was not expecting it.
I know it was, to me it was just such a big fucking like mic drop, like holy shit, I did not
Oh,
see that coming. But now like I feel like we both missed, I feel like, definitely hints at it from Gardens of the Moon, and
yeah.
it's now it makes the beginning of the book makes a little bit more sense now, where we get Cotillion and Amanus, on the side of the road. Uh, I feel like, God, I don't even know what's going to happen in the rest of these books, but I feel like this idea I have in my head now that we have this reveal is like, okay, so these guys, like, they were almost assassinated. They didn't die, but they almost did. So now they're like fucking mad. It's like, all right, now we got to be somebody else. But I guess it's okay because we're kind of like gods, or our gods. So now we're gonna like plot our revenge and try to kill this bitch. This like,
Yeah.
so what the hell is gonna happen in the rest of these books? The remaining 8 and this main 10 that we have.
I don't know. I feel like there's got to be with this realization, right? And I mean, Kalam, Quick Ben don't know. It's just those in vicinity of Apsalar. Well, maybe Quickben and Kalam are aware of like Cotillion's abilities, but I don't think that they're aware that it's a direct link to Dancer. You
Yeah,
know,
like they don't really know who it really is.
right? Or maybe they do, and this is the reason why they're doing this plan. Um, I guess both scenarios are possible, but I just, eh, it just this reveal brings so much more into perspective from Gardens of the Moon, right? Like, think about it. Opan intervened with the intention of thwarting Shadow Throne. Like before in Gardens of the Moon, when you're reading it, you really don't understand the game that Opan is playing, but knowing that it's Kellanved seeking revenge against the Empire or Lucene, which we know, we just don't know why, right? But we don't. But because of that lack of information, you don't really understand why Opan is in. What is there to intervene? You know what I mean? It's just this like
Yeah.
elusive thing where you battle throughout Gardens of the Moon, and also, doesn't this explain Lucine's actions being so hasty, as Loyal would put it? Like, think about it, right? Like, maybe Lucine knows that they ascended, which would explain why she wants to kill everyone that was loyal or worked for Kellanvet. Like, think about how she's like. I just always imagine her as like she's just running around with her head cut off, like she doesn't know what she's doing. But I think that she's just operating under such urgency to try to keep people that were loyal to him becoming loyal again. Thus, the going after bridge burners. Thus, the Taishren devastating everybody in Pale at Pale intentionally. And Kellanved and or Cotillion and Shadow Throne, right? Like they attacked everybody at Itko Khan because those are loyal to Lucene. So it's just this like this game of who can kill more, of who is loyal to who, etc., etc. And these bridge burners are just kind of caught stuck in the middle.
Yeah. Guess I didn't really even think of that. The one thing I keep coming back to is like, man, even just knowing this reveal, like how much does that change? Like if I guess I don't know if you've started rereading Gardens of the Moon. I know you talked
No,
about
not
doing
yet.
that,
I
but
was
just
gonna wait until I got closer to the end of this book.
okay.
Yeah.
But just think like knowing that, how much does that change everything you thought about Gardens of the Moon?
Well, I mean, even now that I'm listening to our podcast, uh, I mean, I feel like we're pretty detailed in our summaries as well as the things that we talk about. But yeah, this is definitely going to be something that's like in the back of my mind, and it answers so many things as far as like the first book goes, but at the same time, it opens up so much more. Like, what are there? I mean, is there gonna? I feel like Kalam, Quickband, Whiskey Jack, Bridge Burners, Ganos, they're going to eventually have some type of an alliance, right? With Shadow Throne, because ultimately they have the same goal at this point, and that's to take out Lucene.
I guess yeah, I don't know about an alliance. Just because we know that, you know, he doesn't trust anybody.
Right. But I think it's just because, I mean, how can you? How can you? I mean, you're close to being assassinated, which that's also another question is how did they ascend so quickly? Like, for example, Mappo and Icarium, they've been wandering this this world for centuries, right? And they haven't ascended.
That's
I,
true.
you know, Iscariel, or whatever his name is, the High
That
Priest of Shadow,
goofy fucker. I love him
goofy
though. He might
motherfucker.
he might he might be my favorite character in this book just because he's so off the walls.
Yeah, yeah. But that's also the other question is like, I mean, is the Path of Hands, is this convergence a bad thing now? Like, it kind of puts a different perspective on what it was that you initially thought now that you know that Kellenved is, behind that in some way, shape, or form, right? I mean, this convergence, I would assume, is probably another ploy to get back at Lucine or whatever.
I kind of feel like we get a little bit of an explanation on that towards the end. Kind of.
I don't remember, so you might have to fill me in.
Okay. Well, we'll talk. We'll have to circle back around to it then.
Gotcha. You might have picked something out that I'm not seeing, but yeah.
I don't feel like that happens often because you're so thorough.
No. Well, sometimes I miss shit. Sometimes I miss shit. Yeah, I feel like I could talk about just how great it was to read this part in this section, you know.
Yeah, I mean, so early in the book, and we get like a big reveal like that. It was surprising.
Yeah, I was not expecting that at all. I was I didn't think that Shadow Throne anything would have been revealed till much later in the series.
Yeah, it
Uh,
definitely wasn't on my radar at all.
maybe maybe Decim's not dead, even though Apslar confirms that. But maybe he's not dead, and he's like Mammoth situation where he had a pet Boak Rala, right? Right? Servant is Karel, and if that is a soul taken or a de-iver, maybe they're going to try to ascend Decim so that he can join them in Shadow Throne.
It's a bold strategy there, Cotton. We'll see how it plays out.
Fucking dodgeball. We reference it in almost every goddamn episode.
If you can dodge a Bocarala, you can dodge a ball.
Right, right. Um, I guess the only other thing that we could probably talk about is we got some answers to Aaron here, and this is probably what Aslick Rel was worried about Duiker explaining to Coltane in chapter 2. You remember that? How he's hesitant about uh, the whole Aaron situation.
A little bit. I guess I don't know. I guess I didn't really get like a big moment of clarity on it. I felt like what was explained we kind of already had an idea on, or I felt that way anyways. That
Oh, with some
you know,
man just coming in and brutally slaughtering everybody.
yeah. I wonder if we'll get to see that because that sounds fucking brutal.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I think it was just nice to kind of have it laid out the way that it was. So, just kind of more of that history,
Yeah, I
and
like that stuff. It's fun to get that backstory. It's you ever think it's this is kind of a random tangent, but you ever think it's like weird to like care about like what happens in a book so much? Like I like we care enough we're talking about it to people listening around the world. So I don't know, kind of blows my mind sometimes.
I mean, I feel like this is probably one of my biggest gripes with the whole Wheel of Time slog thing. Is because like I really relate to Perrin, and I think that without those books, I don't know if I would have as close of a connection with him because I feel like the way that he went about himself, as un eventful as those books were, there was a lot of character development in them, which I thought was very crucial. It was important.
That's fair.
So even with Matt, I hated Matt in the beginning, but those were the books that kind of make you rethink him a little bit.
I really liked Matt. Yeah, I guess I didn't have any dislike towards him at any point in the series, but the last couple of books I definitely liked him a lot.
Yeah. No, yeah, me too. But I think that the slog books, those are the ones that are kind of like the transition from younger Matt to much more wiser, still immature Matt.
He definitely went through some changes.
Yes. But yeah, yeah, I don't know if I'll ever be able to come down from what was revealed in this section. So, but I have
So
nothing
this
else to talk about.
I know. So this was your favorite part of the chapter.
Yep.
I enjoyed it. It was definitely like a holy cow, but it was I don't think it was my favorite part.
I think I know which one's yours.
I think it's where we probably differ a little bit.
Yep. Yep. And that's bleeding in from the previous episode.
Well, should we take another step here then?
Let's take another step.
Sounds good.
The short journey to the south gate was uneventful, and they rode in silence. Dusk shrouded the city, and smoke from a tenement on fire left a smoky haze that made it tough to breathe. Pid thinks to himself that if the Malazan hadn't been pulled from the surrounding area, then the chance of crushing the spark of rebellion was high. He associated this thought to the Emperor and how he wouldn't have let it slide this far. Eventually passing beneath the unguarded, blackened arch that was the south gate, beyond lay the Pan Potson Odin, and beyond that lay the holy desert of Raraku. The night stars flickered up ahead. Fiddler breaks the silence first as he explains to the pair that there's a little village a few leagues south. Crocus nervously asks Fiddler if Kalam had known about Dancer, or rather Cotillion. Fiddler grins and then glances at Absalar. He says that she'd be with Kalam right now. Whatever response Crocus had was interrupted by a squealing, flapping shape. It dropped down out of the darkness and hit Crocus in the back. Fiddler was able to recognize that it was just Moby, and it appeared that he was in a scrap. Crocus asks what made Fid think that Moby had been. Grinning, the sapper explains that even Bokarala mate. Absalar tells Fiddler that they are being pursued. Fiddler twists around and, in the gloom of the darkness, was able to see the Garal clan. Absalar makes a point that they ride very wary mounts. Fiddler hopes on the Queen of Life that there are some fresh horses in New Valar. So sometimes I forget that Fiddler can conflict with himself, and I kind of see why. At heart, he's Malazan. Kellenved's Malazan. So it's easy for him to empathize with Malazans, even though he doesn't agree with the way things are currently ran. His loyalties are kind of fighting each other, as he exists within two different facets of both sides. So, like, it just goes back to his whole thought about if Malazans hadn't been pulled out from the surrounding area, then there would have been a chance to crush the spark of rebellion, like Kellenved would have done. He wouldn't have let it slide that far. But it just, I don't know. It just made me think that he's doubting himself, or he's just having second thoughts or something. He's not sure which side to choose. I'm not exactly sure. Like his muscle memory is Malazan, but that's not the case anymore.
Yeah, I can see that a lot, and I think you make a lot of sense. He does seem like he's kind of fighting himself a little bit on things.
Right. Yeah. And it's just like, is this dangerous? Is this kind of like, I mean, Lauren comes to mind. Is this similar to Lauren and how she was kind of doubting herself? I hope in this case that follows suit, because I like Fiddler, in what we've been shown of him so far. So he seems to be on board with killing Lucien, which I am too. So
Don't have anything else for you there.
here's what I totally forgot to bring up in the last section that I said we should talk about. Apsalar, right? Don't you think that this would have been something that Cotillion / Dancer and Kellenved / Amanus would have thought about? Is the potential that some random person that they choose to possess is going to end up with their memories? Or is that just like a complete oversight?
I guess I don't know. I mean, if I imagine that, I kind of feel like something like this has never been done before, so they probably wouldn't really know what kind of side effects there might be, if any.
Well, I suppose because they're new to Ascendancy, right?
Yeah, it's just not like they've got like a manual to, don't do this.
Right. The Book of the Dead. Yeah.
I guess that's just kind of my thoughts. I mean, or maybe they thought it was just worth the risk. I mean, to me, that's the other side of the coin, I suppose.
Yeah, that was really my question. I don't have anything to really sway it one way or the other, but you bring up some good, solid points. So I'll just go with that.
Once in a while, I have a good idea. Well,
So, I mean, the only other thing that like I can think of is just the Moby thing. I think it's interesting that he's back. I mean, is it really just he went out to get some pussy and came back? You know, that's weird
yeah,
to me.
it is weird, and that's why I think he's got to be Mamet, right? Because like, how the fuck does this thing know where he's at? Like, I don't know. I feel like there's got to be some sort of deeper connection, something. I I don't know, but there's something in me where I just feel like it's got to be Mamet.
Or, I mean, Mammoth did a bunch of shit. Maybe it's not Mammoth and Moby, but maybe it's like one of Crocus's parents. Or, I mean, it could be fucking anybody, who knows what Mammoth has not done. That sounds dirty, but like who knows what Mammoth's plans with Moby are or were, maybe he could only save one parent, and so he transferred the soul into this fucking Boa Krala, and it just hung out at Mammoth's because they didn't want to make Crocus suspicious. I have no fuck. I'm totally free balling here at this. Like this, I have nothing to back this up, but I don't know. It just there's something there. What it could be. What do we need to do?
You're setting me up for the slam dunk. Read and find out.
Right. So, but yeah, that again, really short section, very transitional. Um, yeah, not a lot to pick apart in that one.
No, I don't really think so either.
But yeah, I guess I'm ready if you are.
All right. Well, I think this section I will go over was probably my favorite. You probably guessed that.
Yep.
All right. Kalam left a fake trail in the valley of three gorges. He led his horse along a drainage channel, and the memories, trickery in the trails could lead away from springs or water, leaving a traveler alone with the sun. With the sun, death soon followed. Kalam had a mental map of the holy desert memorized in his mind, even though it was decades old. Even though he was now a bridge burner, he felt again like he was a child of the desert, like he had never left. As he continued traveling, he crossed between what was left of two old watchtowers. He heard a voice warning him to come no further. Kalam smiled and came to a stop. The voice said he made a bold statement by his horse and what he wore. Kalam said he announced who, or maybe what, he was. He had located where the voice had come from, and that a crossbow was dialed in on him. Kalam knew he could dodge the quarrel easily enough and strike with his own throwing knives. He was not worried. The voice spoke and said to disarm him. Kalam was grabbed from behind and ripped from his horse and sent face first into the dirt, knocking the breath out of him. The mysterious man approached and even calmed Kalam's horse. All he could do was listen as they rifled through his belongings. They came to the conclusion that Kalam was who they expected. They had found the book of the Apocalypse. The man who now possessed the book asked Kalam if he thought no mortal man could sneak up on him, that it must be magic, or magic involved. Well, Kalam, you're fucking wrong. This guy is Toblakai, and an escaped slave from the Lateran Plateau on Genebacus, and he's seen 17 summers. Holy shit! And he's killed 41 dudes or enemies, and he's got their ears on his belt. How cool is that? They call Kalam the Deliverer and say he is welcome in Rariku. Their long vigil has now ended. Kalam says they are not bandits. The stranger laughs and says no. He is Leoman, captain of the Shaikh's bodyguards. The other guy doesn't give his name to strangers, so he could just fuck right off. Kalam said he needs to give the book to the Shaikh, not him, not Leoman. The book is given back to Kalam. The Shaikh emerges and says he may give it to her. Closing his eyes, he turned. When he saw her, he was sure of who she was. He could feel the power radiating off of her. He dropped to one knee, saying he delivered the book of the apocalypse. Internally, he wonders what he has just done. How many innocent lives has he taken to bring Lucine down? As she took the book, she said it was damaged, but she should not be surprised since it is 1,000 years old. She asks Kalam if he will join her merry band of soldiers. She can sense his talents. Kalam says he cannot. His destiny lies elsewhere. He wants to leave as soon as possible before he is forced to see how good these bodyguards are. She tells him that the way south is open to him, but she senses some sort of desire in him, even though he disguises it well, and she is giving him an escort. He says he doesn't need an escort. Shaikh gives zero fucks and says he's getting one anyways, and something appears. Leoman is not excited, and the Shaikh tells him to shut his goddamn mouth if he knows what's good for him. The Shaikh says since she was young, she has been possessed by a singular vision. She had seen this moment thousands of times. At dawn, she will open the book and release the whirlwind, and she will be renewed. Blades in hands and unhanded in wisdom, young yet old, one life whole, another incomplete. She sees no other future but this one. They are safe. Anyways, Kalam, she had come into possession of a fun pet that she will send with him because possibilities. An Aptorian. Sent to Rariku by Shadow Throne to spy, but now it belongs to the Shaikh. Kalam said it looked like it had been in a fight. They said it had driven off divers and soul taken, and so far they'd seen it. It does not eat or drink, and basically appears to be brainless. He left the Shaikh, riding his horse south, the Aptorian riding parallel to him a short distance away. He had done what he intended, delivered the book, and started the whirlwind, no matter what his motivation was. Now he needed to deal with his other life. To save the Empire, he would kill the Empress. If he did this, the Shaikh's rebellion was going to fail, and order could be restored. He thought if he failed, though, it would be a bloody conflict. The Shaikh and Lucine were two peas in a pod, and they even looked alike. That one was a lot of fun.
So, explain
What do you want me to explain?
everything. What is it that is drawing you to this particular section?
It's this section, and it's your section too, your next one. But just like we get a little bit of payoff here. Again, it seems pretty early in the book, but
Yep.
we get the book of the apocalypse delivered. We meet the Shaikh, which I didn't really know how big of a role she was going to play, but just kind of the like her whole attitude on things seems very cool, calm, and collected.
Very earthy, like grounded.
Yeah, her one comment reminds me a lot of Iskrill. She says one life whole, another incomplete. Reminds me a lot of a life given for a life taken.
Yeah.
They seem to complement each other. I like that.
But also, why isn't she upset or worried that Shadow Throne? You know what I mean? Like, there wasn't any, as you said, there was just a very calm, cool, collected way of saying or explaining, yeah, Shadow Throne was out here spying. Like, I didn't get a sense of worry there. You know what I mean? So I don't, maybe she knows.
I don't know what she knows. We can speculate, but I don't know. She just seems very confident and not really worried. And so this and we can talk about it after your next section, but I think this singular vision that she has, she knows what's going to happen. She's not worried about it. Everything's going according to plan.
Yeah, but they don't go into very big detail about it. Maybe it's just one of those things where, like if you see the same thing over and over again, no matter what you do, and it's always the same, like, wouldn't you be down to earth about it too?
If I kept seeing the same vision,
Yeah.
is that what you mean?
And I
If I
mean,
kept,
whether it's good or bad, right? Like, no matter what you do to try to thwart this vision or like change your fate, right? Like if the vision never changes no matter what you do, like what do? You just
You just go with it. I I guess a sports adage, you trust the process, right? I mean, there's nothing to be worried about here, I don't think, on the Shaik side of things. She knows what's going to happen. Maybe it's uncomfortable, but it's what needs to happen. It's what's going to happen, and in the end, it's going to be fine.
gotcha.
That's
Gotcha.
my thought on it. So I we could talk about it after your next section here, but um,
Yeah.
one other thing I liked in this section is we know Kalam's from Seven Cities, right? And they
Yep.
always say that the people from the Seven Cities smile before they kill, and we know Kalam smiled, but yet he didn't kill anybody here. He planned to, and it just didn't work out that way.
Yeah. What did you think about Shaik's two companions here? This God, what was he called? A blah, blah, blah.
Toblakai.
Toblakai. There we go. There we go.
I don't know. I
And
think he was described as a giant of some sorts. The other guy,
yeah,
Leoman, seems kind of like a dumb fuck to me, but
yeah. But is Leomin his name or is he a Leomin? Because I thought that he wouldn't give his name away.
no,
Or am I mixing?
The Toblakai
Gotcha.
wouldn't give his name. I'm kind of interested in this Toblakai, but I thought it was entertaining. I was like, oh my god, well he's seen 17 summers and he's killed 41 people. Like, wow, like
Yeah, I
great.
was wondering, like, are you selling a used car here or what?
Like, how many
I
people
mean,
do you
he's
think
as big as a
Kalam's
car.
killed? I bet Kalam's killed more than 41 people.
Well, maybe he should start wearing his ears. Their ears around his waist.
Yeah, I guess.
Come on,
Um,
Derek, where you been? Everyone wears ears these days.
yeah, I guess. The Aptorian also was, I didn't describe it really at all, but I kind of hope you'll draw a picture of it at some point. But like what I kind of envisioned was the stupid fucking newborn alien from Alien Resurrection, but it only has
Yep.
3 legs instead of 4.
Yep. Didn't we joke in the first episode about well, not the first episode, but the second episode, the first chapter about his third leg being his penis?
This sounds like something we would do. We got the tripod.
And he runs with it. Can you imagine that?
It's got to be a lot of blood flow.
New word, new meaning to the word fap. He's fapping hard.
He's got to.
Yeah. No, I'm curious about this Aptorian. I think it's funny that they're almost kind of making it sound like he's dumb, like there's like bird brain kind of a thing. It just seems to just mindlessly obey whatever. But if it was sent in there to spy, what a shitty thing to send in to spy. If it's just going to be manipulated into following whoever it runs across, right? I mean, like it goes from Shadow Throne to Shaik to Kalam, like that fucking terrible spy. So there has
Yeah.
to be some other purpose for it.
Yeah, I don't know if that's just like a front, but I thought that was weird too. That they're like, oh, this thing's just stupid. It's just like it doesn't eat, it doesn't drink, it just looks at the fucking sun all day. You know, I don't know.
But
That
apparently it can battle. So I mean, you remember the pack of wolves, the Rylandris, right? That they ran Mappo and Akirian ran
oh
into, and they were like, be careful, there's a Aptorian out there and it's controlled by the Shaik, and they were like, I don't fucking care. I just want to kill something or whatever that was. you
right.
know? So yeah. Apparently it had thwarted off that pack of wolves.
So it must be
So
a pretty apt fighter.
right. And maybe that's its only purpose is just to maybe that's the purpose is just to go around killing divers and soul taken before they can get to the path of hands. Uh, who knows?
I didn't think of that. That's good. I mean, you take a few out, there's a few less there, I guess.
Right. I mean, clearly they have I feel like Shadow Throne has a game to play with the path of hands. Like they want something to ascend. And again, I feel like it is potentially the Hounds of Shadow. in some way, shape, or form. I still think that they're Divers. Maybe this is who Decim is. I don't know. Like, you've got Decim, you've got Dancer, and you've got Kellenved, you've got Cotillion, Amanus, and you've got the Hounds. Like, there's the trifecta there.
My only hang up with that would be, why would you name each hound then? Because I kind of feel like the divers, like, yeah, we had the one with like the 6 leopards or jaguars or whatever, however many it was. Like, I never really got the sense that each one was like had a name. They were all just whoever it was. But the hounds are all like individuals.
Well, from what I understand about the Shouns or the Hounds of Shadow, fucking
You can
dyslexic
combine
moment
it.
there.
You can combine it. You
Yeah,
can go
the
shouns,
Shouns. Uh,
shadowhounds.
yeah, right. The Shouns. They are in the confrontation with Gear and the aftermath of that. The conversation around the Shouns is that they is that they're like this ancient thing, right? Well, how hard would it be if they already had established names and they just became de-ivers? I mean, it's got to be the same process as it is the soul taken, one soul leading the others independently, Yeah.
I don't
I'm
know,
sure
man.
I'm way the fuck off, but it's cool to think about. I don't
It
know.
is. It is. It's fun to speculate, and I'm glad we have different ideas. I'm glad we don't like we're not just like yes men to each other.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Even though I just yes manned. Okay,
You
cool.
did not.
I did just there. A yes man to your yes man.
No.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, yeah. Um, I guess, do you have any thoughts on the whole Shaikh Lucine were two peas in a pod? They looked alike? Or are you thinking that that's kind of going along with the one life whole, another incomplete?
I don't know. It was. I know one thing I didn't mention was how Kalam thought that the Shaikh looked older than she was. You know, the desert ages you disproportionately. But I don't know. Maybe he just thought they looked similar. I don't. I guess I don't really feel like they're sisters or related or anything like that. It's just they both have similar mindsets where it's their way or nothing at all.
Well, I mean, from what I understand from Lucine, which again isn't very much because we don't get any of her POV, and she's literally had an interaction with one character so far that we've read. And that was Gano's when he went to go see Lorne in the capital of Unta. But she's blue, right? I would imagine that the Shaik is not blue.
That's a good
Um,
point.
and also, from what I recall, is that Lucine is described as a very blech looking woman, right? How many like blech girls do you think or women are out there? You know? What distinctively is reminding Kalam of each other? We don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe they are, but maybe the Shaik is blue, and they're from like the same clan or same town or city or continent or whatever. But
I'm
I don't
I'm
know.
leaning towards they're more similar attitudes than anything than more than physical.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, hopefully more unravels there.
I'm sure it will. Definitely, it's going to.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But it was a nice, cool little section. The only other thing that I thought was cool is that when Kalam is kind of, he's veering off he's like creating this fake trail, and the three valley gorges kind of merging together reminded him of the bridge burners and how the bridge burners came about to be. And apparently it was two different armies that were merged together during like the Seven Cities campaign.
I guess I didn't really. I must not have thought it was important,
I
or
mean,
didn't, I didn't pick up on it.
it's not like super prevalent. It's not like we would be any less off without that information. But I just thought it was like a cool little thought that he had to himself that, you know, he knows this area so well because, he was born here, but at the same time, like, him and another company essentially merged together to become the bridge burners. And it was because of the heat burning the bridge of where they were previously coming from, you know? So there's some significance to the name there. It was like a really small detail. But like if you just read the first two paragraphs of this section again, you'll see what I'm talking about.
I gotcha.
Um the other thing that I thought was cool was at the end of this section when he's thinking about unveiling the whirlwind, he makes a an association to the deck of dragons, and he was like, "What herald of death will be released here today?" So
I
I
don't
just thought that
remember
was like
that.
a cool nod. It's like I think it's in like the last two paragraphs. It's totally when he's riding away with the Aptorian.
Okay.
And he just has this thought about what herald of death would appear in the deck of dragons in whoever would be laying them this night or this day.
Gotcha.
Yeah, just thought that was cool. Um, but yeah, I guess I don't have any other thoughts. Do you?
I do not.
And this is a pretty short section, so
Yeah, between this by last section and then this one you're about to read, these are like I was jealous you had this one.
do you want to read it?
No. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. All right. With a few minutes before dawn, Shaik sat, cross-legged, before the Book of the Apocalypse. Her and her two guards were in the ruins of a watchtower. One guard, a Toblakai youth, and the other guard, his companion, crossed their arms, carrying two morning stars through their belt, and a crossbow leaned to his leg. Leomin. The day's rays began to sweep over the Shaik. The Holy One reaches down to open the book. The quarrel struck her forehead, and Shaik toppled to the ground. Tene Baralta bellows in satisfaction. Eralt, Arpat, and Lastara Yil led 12 red blades, advancing towards the two hapless guards. The crossbow guard rolled and fired, hitting Eralt and caving in his breastbone. Baralta was not pleased by this and grabbed his talwars and joined the attack. Lastara, Lastara had a squad, and they threw lances at the Toblakai. The Toblakai wielded a wooden sword and was able to avoid the lances like some type of dance. The Toblakai shattered the knees of the red blade closest to him and then was within the squad's midst. Baralta, in his urgency to get there, saw Lastara reel back as the wooden sword met her face. Another soldier fell, throat crushed from the wooden sword. Arpat's squad attacked the desert warrior with the crossbow. Baralta gazed over to his squad and observed that Leomin was holding his own with the two morning stars on chains. Thinking to himself, why waste more red blades when the mission had been accomplished? The Sheik was dead, and these two are unable to guard her, and now sought vengeance. Baralta calls a retreat. Two of the red blades were loyal enough to drag their unconscious captain out of harm's way. Baralta saw that the two did not pursue, and the last thing he saw before ducking out of sight was the crossbowmen reload. Within safety, the red blades looked to dress their wounds. A soldier splashed water on Lastara's face. Awareness slowly returned to her. Baralta tells Lastara that she is to continue to follow Kalam's trail. Lastara felt the welt on her forehead from the wooden sword. Baralta reaches down and helps the sergeant to her feet, and tells her that she did a fine job taking down the Shaik, and with one arrow. The Empress will be pleased. He tells her to keep on Kalam's trail, as he'll spread the word through the Panpots and Odon. He watched as she mounted and departed. With the rest of his squad, he did the same. So this is another thing that I wasn't expecting at all. We
No.
just met Shaik in the last section when Kalam eventually finds her and then gives her the book. I mean, at the end, I kind of saw this coming though. At the same time, I just wasn't expecting her. I wasn't expecting this confrontation for a while yet. You know?
So explain to me why you think the Shaik is done for. Because that is where we differ, correct? You think she's done
Yes,
and out of the story?
correct.
No
Yes,
fucking
I
way.
think
No, not a fucking chance, my
yes,
friend.
yes. I
Okay.
think that she is done. I think she's done for because one, I think that the book is fake. So whether she would have died or not, it was clearly a setup from the Red Blades from the very start. I just didn't think that they expected Kalam to be the deliverer of this false book. So this is essentially their plan to keep the whirlwind from or the rebellion from squashing, the Malazan armies in 7 cities. But I think that the rebellion is much more than just some goddess trapped in a book. I think that it's a spirit, it's a mentality. You see it in the mines, the Otatero mines with the Dosai. There's definitely something there. There's a rebellion brewing. There's all of these hidden secret messages in all of the different holy cities. And I think that it's yeah, I think it's much more than just yeah. I don't have a ton, to be honest. I think she's dead. I think that someone else has the book, and it's not necessarily, yeah, I guess I don't know. And this goes back to, you know, you're she's had this singular vision for the rest or her entire life. And I'm interpreting it as she's just become complacent with the fact that she's going to die. There's unavoiding her death.
It's all just a part of the plan.
Right. So,
I,
but I get where you're coming from. You think that in order for her, like maybe she is Dryjana, maybe she has to die to so Dryjana can take her soul and start this rebellion, right? Like, but
I 100% think she's coming back, and maybe it's not going to be exactly as she is. I don't know if it's going to be something quite like Tattersail coming back, but there's not a fucking chance that I believe she's done with the story. Sure, she got her head blown off with a crossbow, but she's coming back. Might be 3 days.
I
She's
mean,
gonna come crawling out of a rock like Jesus. I don't know, but she's coming back. 100%, she's coming back some way. I'm certain of it.
see, she's not a prominent character, and that's totally a trope that I'm like leaning towards because we just met her, and there's no significance that she has as a character, but in
But
a
there is,
world
there is.
enthralled with people coming back. I mean, Kellenved, we thought was dead this whole time. We just didn't know where their bodies were. Like, that's a revelation. Like, I totally get the possibility that your theory is 100% correct. I just think that going back to the prophet and the two seers, that like malnutritioned youth in the tent that Duiker witnessed, the prophecy never said Dryjana, the spirit of Dryjana speaking through the boy, never talks about her rising up. She talks about when memories blah blah. I don't even remember what the saying is, but it doesn't allude to her taking control. It alludes to the people.
You know what? I'm gonna hate you so fucking much if you're right, because this is the hill I'm gonna die on. I believe it so hard that it just has to be true that she's coming back.
Well, they say, what is it? The universe usually follows a thought, or actions follow the thought. I don't know, something like that.
I just feel like we've heard so you're right. We haven't seen much of her. She's not been a prominent character, but she's been this kind of overarching figure that has appeared important, and I think will probably play a role in the book. To me, I kind of wonder what, like, if she's not going to be in the rest of the story, then what the hell is this book going to be about? So I have to believe she's going to come back and play a role, and that things are going to go to hell and be shitty and bad, and um, I don't know, but she's going to come back, and I just I don't know, just Yeah, just I feel like this is all just it's been she knew this was coming and she's just kind of embraced it and isn't worried about it because it's fate and she's not going to change it. So just embrace it and so you take your licks, right? And you get back up and you do what you got to do. So
Right.
she's just Rocky here. It's not how many times you get knocked down. She only well, I mean, as far as we've seen, she just got knocked down once with a crossbow, but she's gonna get up again.
But
And
look
she's
at it
gonna
this way. You bring up a very, very good point. Okay. So everybody believes that the seer is going to unleash Dryjana, right? So what happens when word gets out that she was killed?
I don't think word's gonna get out.
I think word's going to get out. I think that what happens is people are going to get pissed that the Dryjana wasn't unleashed and they're going to take matters into their own hands and align and essentially push out Malazan, enthralled cities. So,
I guess this is where I'd be willing to give a little bit because I don't feel like it's gonna get out because I think she's gonna come back pretty quick. It's and she's gonna go after these red blades and finish them off. So the word's not gonna get out. But maybe that's not the case. I can live with that if that isn't the case. But I'm just like buy me a freaking lottery ticket. Like that's how sure I am.
but also
She's
like
coming back.
Kalam's gone, right? Like he's going to spread the word that he delivered the book.
Yeah,
So
hey,
this
he
is
doesn't know. He
exactly what
doesn't
the
know
red
she's dead.
right. So I think it's just going to become a race for God, what is it? God, fuck, I can't even say their goddamn name.
Tobl-
Leomin and
Toblakai.
Toblakai. The
Toblaki.
Toblakai.
I don't know. I like Toblakai.
Toblakai works. I think that it's going to be a race for them to actually convey what happened, and it's going to be kind of this Kalam's word versus their word, or you know what I mean? Like, there's just two sides to the story, right? And what do you believe? So I think that it set off an event. I think that she saw or envisioned herself dying in order to start the rebellion.
I agree with you on that. I do.
So
But I think she's just going to come back.
okay, cool. Yeah, no, I totally could see it. I mean, this world filled with soul taken and divers and soul shifting, and I mean, Hairlock, Tattersail, Animander Rake, all of the divers out there. That both perspectives are 100% plausible.
I like that this is the hardest we've disagreed. And it's been fun like debating it back and forth with you.
Yeah, yeah, it has been interesting. Definitely interesting. I'm really curious to see. I hope she comes back. It would be cool to have Dryjana just relinquish some fucking brutal shit, over to these Malazan occupied cities. But I don't. I think it's in the hands of Mappo or Carium or whatever it has to do with the past and the present. Uh, yeah, I feel
I
like
guess we'll just
Dryjana is a mindset, it's not a physical thing. It's a
that's
yeah.
interesting. I've not thought of
The
it that way.
spirit is not necessarily mean, like an apparition or some long lost dead. It's, the past within ourselves. It's our histories. It's our yeah.
Just like you said, man, I can't wait to read and find out, and it's gonna just crush me if I'm if I'm on your. It's gonna be bad.
But
I'm gonna be in such a funk if I'm like, oh my god, I was wrong on it. It's gonna be horrible for me.
I mean, it could be the Riga situation. I was so distraught for the longest time because I could have sworn that's what it was. So maybe that's just the thing where at the end of the book, she's she's there,
Oh, I'm
Like
I'm
maybe
gonna.
she's servant. Maybe she's the servant of Iskarel. It's she. Those two are related in some way. I mean, they have to be, unless they're just parallel theories, but just for different outcomes. I mean, I don't know. Raffo. We'll just have to read and find out.
Yep. Yeah. I don't think it's. I don't know if we're gonna find out the next chapter or not, but we only
Oh,
have one.
probably
We
not.
only one way to find out.
But then again, I mean, we thought that Talk the Younger. I mean, he hasn't made an appearance. I don't think he's dead, but he's
I don't.
he's definitely looking that way.
He's missing an action.
I think I just go back to like Reyes and the Jagdhut Tyrant, right? Like, let's say for example, and just humor me. Let's say it wasn't Lorne or Tool that unleashes him from his grave, right? Like, let's say it's just some random Malazan who was sent to find the barrow and release him, right? Like, let's say within 2 chapters he's introduced, and then he's unleashed, and then the next chapter he's killed. Would you believe that he's coming back?
Stop it.
Just I'm just saying, like,
But we
I
know.
think it was different because he was built up to be this thing. Like it was a journey. It was like a long, flat out adventure of finding the barrow, getting him, and then the whole confrontation in Jerusalem. Like there was packing, there was meat there. With Shaik, it's just not there. Like she's talked about and it's rumored and like Kalam finally finds hers, but it happens so fast that it
It's
just makes me think that yeah,
it's going to
it
be
just
there.
makes
I'm telling you, it's going to be there, Justin. We're gonna get it. She's on the back of the book. God damn it, she's gonna be there.
fair, 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 fair. Oh God. Oh, this is good. Good stuff. But
This has been a lot of fun.
yeah, I I feel like I don't have anything else outside of that. Really, one big thing. Um, I thought it was smart of Beralta to pull back instead of continuing on. As much as I hate to say that, but that was a pretty good. It was a pretty good move,
Yeah.
and I'm curious as to see what motivation there is to follow Kalam now. You know, but I guess maybe they suspect something else is up because he didn't stick around. So if they are Malazan lapdogs, then sniffing out the fact that he wants to kill the scene is probably a good reason to keep following him, even though they don't know that.
Well, anything else you want to?
Um, I thought it was cool how quick these two Shaik guards, as much as they failed to protect her, they definitely kick some ass though.
Yeah. Yeah, they did.
I mean, they took some fucking names. Getting smacked in the face with a wooden sword essentially just knocks you unconscious, and then breaking your knees because you were hit so hard with the sword, and then like damn, crushed
Not a good
windpipe and stuff. Like,
time.
yeah, it was pretty brutal. Like I liked reading that part of the section. But yeah,
Well, should we bring this back to home base here?
bring her home.
All right. Leoman laid a blanket on the ground and wrapped the Shaik's body into it. The Toblikai said she was dead. Leoman said, "Yeah, no shit, idiot. I saw what happened." The Toblikai asked what was next. Leoman said, "She opened the book and it was dawn." The Toblikai said nothing happened except for her head getting blown off. Leoman, already annoyed, says, "Yeah, I know. I was there." He asks again what they would do now. Leoman said it was clearly stated she would be renewed. They would wait. The Toblikai said there was a storm coming. I feel like all this just lends itself to my side of the fight here, Justin.
Because they are just like nonchalant about it, like they
No,
know what's coming, or
just this storm. I don't think is actually like a thunderstorm in that
oh,
sense.
you
I
think
think
it's a
it's
whirlwind.
sure. I guess I didn't even really think of that. I just think like I was thinking more so like the Shake's gonna be pissed when she comes back, which I guess would is probably like she's gonna. I guess yeah, she's gonna drive the whirlwind. So
Hmm.
even though what I'm thinking is, okay, so they're saying nothing happened when she opened the book, but I kind of feel like it what was supposed to happen when she opened the book did happen. Like that was the driving force. So maybe it wasn't what they thought was going to happen, but that what like her being temporarily deceased is like that was like the driving factor. So she's gonna come back, start this whirlwind.
But why would the Red Blades and Mebla, I think that's his name, uh why would he why would they willingly give a book to somebody to bring to Shaik if they do not, if they're trying to thwart this, and clearly it's a ploy to find Shaik and kill her, which happens. So why would they give her the real book?
Maybe they're just not worried about it. They don't believe in it.
And
I
it,
don't.
it
I
is
guess
it is
the whole thing I get hung up on is this whole like renewed thing, and I'm certainly not a very religious person, but this like definitely has religious overtones to it. So there's something there to it. They've mentioned it several times. She's going to be renewed. I just don't see any other way that she's coming back. I'm 1,000% certain of it.
I mean, I hope that's the case, but devil's advocate here. I mean, the book doesn't do anything, but
But it
one
did. It
is
did. I think it did.
it's the desert. There's sandstorms everywhere. You know what I mean? It's enough that like blow up graves. It's not an uncommon thing, but
Yeah, it doesn't.
also
It doesn't say a
maybe
sandstorm's coming. It just says a storm. I think the Shaik's going to be the storm when she's coming back.
we'll see. I guess we'll see. But also,
We're
these guys don't know this book is fake. So if
because
I
it's
mean, it
not
has to
fake.
be. It has to be. So I think what they're expecting is they're expecting her to be renewed because maybe the spirit of Dryjana takes over the seer's body, and that is what unleashes the whirlwind. I think that they're speculating at this point. I don't think that they have anything conclusive.
You don't think Kalam would sniff it out if it was a fake? I think he would know something's up if it was like he's like, yeah,
How is he
this like
supposed to
this
know?
isn't.
I mean, the
I don't
book was
know.
all the way in Aaron that they apparently stole from Pormqual underneath Pormqual's nose. Like, do you really think that something that is in Malazan hands would just be so loosely guarded for people to take?
I don't know, man. All I'm saying, Shaik is Jesus. She doesn't have two holes in her hands. She's got one in her head. She's coming back.
Oh, dude, brutal. Well, I mean, Jesus, literally.
Yep.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. um, yeah, okay. Well, hey, I'm gonna root for you. I've got your back. I'm clearly just being the dick here and playing devil's advocate. So
Dude, I have
I
like
do
I
I think the book is
I'm
fake. I
believing in
think it's
this
fake.
so hard. Like I've not believed in anything in a long time. So it's if it doesn't, it will crush my soul.
Oh, well then I guess let's hope for God's sake you're right. Whew.
I am, yeah, yeah. I don't know. I'm a believer.
Yeah, all right. Sounds good, dude. Sounds good.
This is probably the most fun I've had disagreeing with you.
Well, hopefully this can become a thing. I'm sure that in this world it's becoming just even more expansed.
I mean,
I'm sure there's going to be many.
we've had a few disagreements, but not any this hard.
No, no, not even this like definite, right? Like
No, no.
I definitely think the book is fake. I think it was all just a setup. She's dead. They think that they were successful, but they weren't, and it's just a matter of time before it gets to the point where they're like, "Fuck, we need to do something because she's dead."
And I will listen to you, but just in my brain, I will know that you are wrong, and I will be happy with that. And
Okay,
there's like
dude.
a 0.001% part of my brain that's like, fuck, dude, if I am wrong, I'm gonna just put my head through a
Oh,
wall.
okay. All right. So let's make this official.
Okay.
If I am right,
No, no, I don't like where this is going.
you have to take a pie to the face. If you are right, I will take a pie to the face. A pie of your choosing, and vice versa. So let's put a pie on the line.
Okay, well, we're gonna have to get video of this.
Oh, absolutely. This will be part of our patron. This
Sure.
will be a patrons only. This will be kind of like a behind the scenes thing. So
Okay.
yeah, I guess if whenever this is, and who knows, this may get revealed next chapter. This may be something that isn't revealed for 3 books down the line. Who knows? I mean, I have no idea. I think it's a fake book. Why would the Red Blades be so stupid enough to just hand her the book?
I will take that because I've got a 50% chance
Yay!
of being right.
Well, me too. So,
Right. Exactly. That's as good as it's gonna get, right?
yep, yep.
So you're making me less certain, but I'm standing by it. I think she's too important. Gotta play a role.
If she was important, she wouldn't have died literally a section after we met her. Like, not even a chapter, same chapter. She's wiped out,
It's just a ploy, man. You're falling into the trap.
fallen into the trope.
Yep.
Ah, it's a trope. There we go.
Well, it'll be good fun to
Well,
find out whichever one of us is right.
maybe we're both wrong and we both take pies to the face.
I don't know
I'm
how we could
sure
both be
our
wrong.
partners, you never know, dude. I mean, maybe fucking Iscarel is the whirlwind. Who knows? He's crazy,
I
but I
just
said it, so
I
I'm
get
right.
I just get hung up on how do you build this character up with being such an important figure, and then okay, yeah, you kill him off, but and then that's just it. I just don't buy it.
I mean, same goes to all of the other characters that we thought talk the younger, right? Like Tattersail. Granted she's still
Those
alive, but she's not in her same body.
but those were so different though. Like talk, we like I think you and I are on the same page with talk. Like it's just different circumstances. It's not. I don't. It's
Fair.
not the. It's not the same.
Okay. All right. Cool. Well, I mean, there you have it. We've got our first official D&J's wager.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yep.
There's a lot on the line.
Smiley pies.
I like it.
Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah. I guess we'll have to read and find out and see where this goes, and I guess time will tell, right? I feel like
Maybe
the answer will be in this book though.
I think so.
Like,
I think you know what? Maybe we should leave things up to Jan. What kind of pie? Within like reason,
ooh,
like
don't get like a blueberry stuff that's gonna stain, or
yeah.
whatever. Just a cream pie, some kind.
You
Well, you know what?
dirty,
We'll
you
we'll let
dirty
you.
dog.
Not that kind of sorry, Jan. That's not what I meant at all. But yeah, we'll there we go. I like that idea. We'll let Jan decide what kind of pie.
like a like a pumpkin pie or banana cream pie or coconut cream pie,
Yep.
something like that. So
Perk for being the first patron. I'm
yeah,
cool with that.
okay. Well, I guess if we're gonna wrap things up, then maybe it's a good time to again just remind people. Yeah, we have a Patreon account. You can find that on the Patreon app. Just search us up, D&J's Epic Quest. Should turn up. Otherwise, look on Twitter. We've got it linked on there. Right. Another thing we did was the Linktree deal. So that's around there. So yeah, it should
And
be
also,
fairly easy to find.
yeah, the link tree is also in our YouTube bio as well. So
Ah, nice.
Yeah, cool.
Well,
Yeah, great episode, sir. That was fun. That was fun. I hope that I hope all the laughter. Yeah, I hope that the audience listening to this is all like, you guys are both wrong, or you're right, or you're wrong. I guess I will preface that please do not say anything in the comments. Uh,
oh, good point. Good point.
yes, like don't tell which one is right or wrong. If we're both wrong, just let it be. Uh, yeah, please let us discover this on our own.
There's going to be that aha moment that we're going to have.
Yep,
And one of us is going to be ecstatic and the other's going to be just in the dumps.
yep, with a pie in his face. Yep.
Yep. Yep.
Are you regretting
Maybe,
this a little?
no, not at all, because I know I'm right. Well,
Oh,
well,
ballsy.
we're gonna have to work it out where the winner gets to pie the other person, the other. So we'll have to see if we can arrange that. We're not that far apart, so we'll have to maybe
Oh, or
link
like an
up and
hour.
yeah. So
All right. Cool. Well, I guess we'll say goodbye and we'll conclude chapter 5 here. Last chapter in the book of Raraku, sub book of Raraku.
yeah, it was a good one.
It was. It's crazy how fast it's going. I yeah, I feel like I just started this book, but we're already 150-ish pages in. 170. So, yeah,
Yeah,
it's kind of crazy.
definitely for sure. Can't wait to get started on the next one here.
Yes, me as well. And look forward to all of the side quests and yeah, it'll be a good time.
All right, man. Well, have a good night. We will talk soon.
All right, later, dude.
See ya.
Bye.